Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the latest report that the government are preparing to get legislation ready to tackle foreign donations in our politics sooner rather than later. And according to one journalist, this is specifically aimed at tackling the threat of Elon Musk. But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button to stay notified. So when I saw a clip from Sky News about the government proposals to tackle foreign donations in our politics, to begin with, I thought, okay, this is nothing new. I already knew about the proposal being reported on. I'd even discussed it on the channel earlier this year. What made me sit up and take notice, however, was the claim on Sky News that these proposals are going to be presented to Parliament, first of all, much sooner than expected, and specifically for the reason of the increased threat of Elon Musk dumping a fortune into the lap of Nigel Farage. In other words, the government are preparing legislation to protect democracy with Elon Musk specifically in mind. Now, that was surprising to me. Not the fact that the government are conscious of the specific threat posed by Musk. We've been calling for them to be conscious of it for some time when working on the legislation. It's the fact that they're happy to say so to a journalist who will inevitably report it. I mean, off the record, of course, so it's deniable if asked publicly. But still, that they're happy for it to be reported that the government sees Musk as a sufficient threat to reorder their legislative priorities. That's quite interesting. So what do we know about the proposals and how could they cockblock Musk or Farage, depending on your point of view? Well, the manifesto did promise to tighten the rules around donations to political parties, so it's not like this would be a new policy. But after not being included in the King's speech, people supposed Labour didn't see it as a top priority. So they obviously weren't bothered about it for like local election campaigns, and it might be something we'd expect to see in the second half of the Parliament as we gear up for the next general election. But then last autumn, after the election here, Elon Musk hinted that he might be prepared to bankroll Reform UK to the tune of $100 million just to spite Keir Starmer as much as to support the main far-right nutters in Westminster. Like, you look at Germany, for example. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't seem... Although he supported the AfD in the recent German elections, I don't think he made huge donations there. Now, of course, the laws in Germany will be different anyway. It may have been harder for him to do so. But it's not a given that he's willing to throw out silly amounts of money, even if they're quite small amounts of money for him, in foreign election campaigns. So it was only ever a hint that he might bankroll Reform UK. I mean, the first question, I suppose, would be, so given that these new laws, even if they are proposed this year and maybe even pass into law this year by the end of this year, although probably early next year is more likely, would they be coming soon enough if Musk could just donate at any time? Well, the process can't be rushed anyway. And I think there are two reasons to suppose that Musk will not be signing cheques in the short term. So if Labour aim to get these laws sorted later this year, that might be enough time. First thing to consider is Musk's sudden disdain for Nigel Farage. After Farage vocally distanced himself from Tommy Robinson, his campaign and his entire support base, Musk said that Farage wasn't fit to lead. And although Musk has not continued with public attacks on Farage since then, it can be taken as read that Musk is not impressed with Farage's attempts to moderate Reform UK, including with the expulsion of Rupert Lowe, whom Musk would probably prefer to deal with. In fact, I'd said before all of this blew up, last year, into last year, I was saying I expected the big blow up to be between Musk and Reform UK when Trump starts his efforts on mass deportations, and then inevitably Farage would have to be asked on his view, and Reform UK officially are against mass deportations because most people in this country are, right? So I thought that would be the flashpoint, and yet the flashpoints have been coming much sooner. And you get the impression Musk would much rather deal with Rupert Lowe than Nigel Farage, because he is not willing to moderate. I mean, Rupert Lowe is in favour of mass deportations, right? So then there's the news that a new, even more extreme far-right party could emerge to challenge Reform UK. So Musk may be waiting to see what happens here. Does a viable project launch? Because if he intends to donate to anyone, and even that isn't clear, he would probably want to support the most extreme option, or he'd be accused of going soft himself, wouldn't he? Or if that doesn't emerge, would he rather, use the promise of a huge donation for Reform UK if they get rid of Nigel Farage and install Rupert Lowe, maybe, you know. The second factor to note is that his personal attacks against Starmer seem to have been put on hold as well. Now, whether that's because he doesn't want to be screwing up any deals Trump is working on, or because he personally stands to benefit from the government's push for AI, I don't know. But for whatever reason, there's been a bit of an obvious hiatus on the feuding. So there may well be good reason to suppose that if Musk ever is serious about a big donation to a UK loony party, he's not in a rush to make it this year. So how do Labour aim to stop him ever making it? Well, the easiest way would be to say, if you ask me what my proposal would be, it would be that donations can only be made by UK citizens, or I'd actually have a much wider range, but just for this specific purpose, UK citizens or people permanently resident in the UK. And you can extend this to companies donating by saying the same applies according to ownership of that company. So if the majority ownership of a company is held by people who are UK citizens or are permanently residents in the UK, it can donate. Otherwise, no. But that's my proposal. It's not what ministers are considering. Their idea, and you can see how this targets Musk specifically, is to still allow foreign donations, but it has to be through a UK company. But it has to be through a UK company who makes enough profit in the UK to make that donation. So to make an £80 million donation, Musk would need to show that he is making at least £80 million in profit in the UK. Now, in general, I don't think that's tight enough legislation. However, you can see how if you are conscious of the threat specifically of Elon Musk, it would absolutely work. He would definitely be blocked under these rules. I don't think any of his UK subsidiaries declare a profit of any size in most years. Like in most years, even Tesla say, oh, sorry, we haven't made a profit. Sorry, we can't pay any taxes. So, you know, they certainly don't make profits, even in the good years, that amount to anything like the sort of donation that would be useful to Reform UK. So maybe Labour think that because this would definitely end Musk's ability to donate, and that nobody who could donate large sums under these rules would want to, that it will be enough. And Sky News talking about the proposals being ready within a matter of months suggests to me it could be one of the first out the gate to be put to Parliament after the current session ends, presumably this autumn. The government have already suggested the law to allow 16, 17-year-olds to vote nationally to bring England in line with the rest of Britain could be announced later this year. So maybe their big theme for the next King's Speech will be the strengthening of democracy. This might even include some of the other measures to deal with, for example, voter suppression created by the way the last government implemented ID cards for voting. Labour have said they won't be scrapping photo ID for voting, but they will be updating the list of acceptable forms of ID. I mean, that in itself won't be enough. I've heard that Labour are supportive of the idea of automatic registrations. That would be a good move. The manifesto did make a promise to improve registration. So I think, yeah, automatic registrations, I think I'm sort of expecting at this point. But on photo ID, my attitude is that the state should be responsible for making sure people know they need it and know how to get it. The manifesto also promised to deal with the, as they put it, inconsistencies in voter ID rules that prevent legitimate voters from voting. This means that to fulfil their manifesto promise, they have to do something to stop genuine voters being turned away at the polling stations at the next general election at least. Requiring photo ID is not in itself voter suppression. Perfectly sound democracies require them. It's the fact that the government made little effort to make sure people knew about the need, resulting in a lot of people being turned away from polling stations. And it would make sense to update the law on all of these aspects of political campaigning and voting at the same time. So maybe we don't have as long to wait before seeing some democratic defences being erected again. Then there will just be the small matter of the voting system to sort out. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching. And until next time, I'll see you later.